Okay, well, if you find yourself here, you, like me, have probably struggled at length to figure out how to do Ft-8 on the 60 meter band with your Wsjt-x Ftdx10 combination. I had a ton of trouble, and it took me a long time to figure it out. There really wasn't anything on YouTube. The information on the internet was very limited. I did manage to find some information deep in the forum space, but a lot of it was contradictory. A lot of it didn't work, but I did find something that worked for me, and hopefully this will help you. And if it doesn't, and you find something else, please do leave it in the comments so we could all figure this out. The information in the manual was very limited, and I couldn't really make heads or tails of it. It didn't really put me in the right direction. I'm sure the Wsjt-x manual has something. It's very deep and very thorough, but I didn't really have the understanding to make heads or tails of it. So hopefully this helps and gets you on the air in 60 meters. So we find ourselves here, basic screen. You've tuned up to 60 meters, and you're trying to transmit using your normal Ft-8 settings under Wsjt-x. What you'll find is that the rig will error out and tell you that you cannot transmit. It'll give you the red flashing light. The TX transmit will flash, and you will not be putting out a signal. Well, that's because the Ftdx10 has a set of interlocks that don't allow you to transmit out of band or your allotted frequency, and it is very restrictive from the factory. So normally, if you just tune up to it, you can't transmit normally. You have to go in, and you probably already know this, but for those of you who don't, you have to go into the memory menu, hit the M button, and you'll find this screen. Now, when you first start out, you're going to be all the way at the top of this M list, at M1, which will be probably 7 megahertz on USB or what have you. So you want to go all the way to the bottom, and you'll find a secondary list of 5s. Okay? The 5-3, or channel 3 on the 5 megahertz band, is where most Ft-8 activity takes place. I'm not sure if that's official, but that's where it is. I'm not extremely well versed in Ft-8 or digital modes. I've only been at this a couple months, but this is as far as I've gotten, and if I'm wrong, again, please correct me in the comments. So, in order to transmit on 60 meters, you select 5-3, hit that, and you're up and running. You can transmit voice, you can transmit CW, but we're not looking to do either of those. We're looking to do data. So this requires a couple special modifications and settings adjustments in the Wsjt-x and the rig. So normally you transmit Ft-8 under the data mode, and the Ftdx10 will not allow that. It will allow SSB, it will allow CW, but it will not allow data on the 5 megahertz channels. So what you need to do, because it is ultimately data transmitted over the upper sideband, you want to go into your functions and set up your SSB. So I hit the multifunction knob. I'm going to radio settings. And I'm going up to mode SSB. And I am changing this from mic. So normally it gets the SSB data from your microphone to the rear. Now, what does rear mean? There are two things in the rear. There's the USB cable and there's the data cable. This is going to depend on how you're hooked up to your computer or whatever it is that you are transmitting. Most likely it'll be a PC. And you will select USB or data. I use USB. You may use other methods, but this is how I got it to work. I then go down to my RPTT select and select RTS. It'll be default, it'll be on DACI. I select RTS. Some people change the R port gain to 10 or higher. I find 50 to be just fine. This is the extent of what you will do on the rig. So we can back out of here. No. Back out of here. Go back. Go back. And you'll be good to go. Next, you're going to find yourself on the Wsjt-x screen. At this point, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and take your existing rig configuration and clone it. Okay? You go ahead and clone it, and it'll give you a copy, right? Now, I'm going to delete that because I have already made a copy, and I will then switch to that, and it will go ahead and bring up a new, it'll reboot the program and bring up Wsjt-x under the Ft-8 copy. You can change this to whatever you want as far as renaming it, call your 60 meter mode, but if there's a better way to do this, great. This is just how I got it to work. At this point, you're going to want to go into settings and change your rig into none. Okay? The issue, from what I understand, is that the cat controls and all these defaults tell the software to take over rig control from the radio. The problem with that is it interacts with the interlocks that the Ft-8 has in it from the factory that doesn't allow you to transmit out of band. Now, it'll automatically want to go to data, and we don't want that because it'll only allow you to transmit under SSB. Even though data is often in an SSB, basically it's the same mode of transmission as far as the bandwidth that you're using. So if you're modulating your frequency or what have you to get out a signal, it's going to be sent and received under similar manner as far as the actual transmission is concerned. So you're going to put the rig into none, And basically what that'll do is it sends, or basically lets the rig do all the primary control under its own settings. Your PTT method, you want to put into RTS, which we said earlier on the rig, and select your standard PTT COM port. Mine's COM5, which is my standard. My enhanced, which would go under my cat control, is COM6, but that's grayed out over here. For a time, I was using 9600 baud. Now I'm using 384, 3840, whatever you want to call it, the higher baud rate. And that's basically all you will need to do here. Hopefully that gets you to where you need to be. For me, that was all I needed to do. I'm now transmitting, and I'll show you that my signal is getting out. Unfortunately, the 60 meter is dead at the moment. It's the middle of the day. There's a big snowstorm out. But even at that, at 10 watts, I've got KD0BQS picking me up here in Missouri. And I've got one in Virginia, K1RA4, a couple in New Jersey. So yeah, the Ft-8 is functioning correctly. And as you see here on the rig, it's under receive at the moment, and then it will transmit under upper sideband. There's our Ft-8 carrier. The TX button is doing as it should, and we have a functional Ft-8 transmission under the 60 meter. If you have better ways of doing this, again, I don't pretend to know what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my information, what I learned, and hopefully this helps you get on the air. I know it was quite an ordeal for me to figure that out, but if you got any suggestions, improvements, please do comment. I don't pretend to be an expert in this in any way, and help a fellow ham out. So thank you very much.